What if I told you that the most important conversation of my life was never spoken out loud? No words, no text messages, no phone calls, no grand declarations, just silence. And yet, that silence said everything. That silence changed everything. That silence became the most precious secret I have ever carried in my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and everyone sitting here today, have you ever had something in your life so beautiful, so delicate, so sacred, that you were afraid to speak it out loud? Afraid that if you said it too loudly, the world would snatch it away? Afraid that putting it into words would somehow break the spell? I have. And today, for the very first time, I am going to talk about it. Today, I am going to unwrap the most precious secret of my life. Today, I am going to tell you about that silent bond. Let me take you back. Picture a regular day, nothing special about it. The sky wasn't dramatic. There was no background music playing. The world was going about its usual business, loud, busy, careless. And then someone walked in. Or maybe they were already there. Maybe they had been there for days, weeks, even months. But something shifted, something clicked, like a key turning inside a lock that you didn't even know existed inside you. You looked at them. They looked at you. And in that fraction of a second, in that tiny, ordinary, unremarkable moment, something extraordinary happened. No words were exchanged, but everything was understood. That is how silent bonds are born. Not with fireworks, not with grand speeches, not with dramatic moments from the movies we grew up watching. They are born in the quietest corners of life, in the way someone notices when you are sad, even when you are smiling, in the way someone remembers the small things, the things you yourself forgot you had mentioned, in the way someone sits beside you in silence, and somehow that silence feels more comforting than any word ever could. This is not a love story in the traditional sense. This is something deeper. This is the story of a bond, a connection that existed beyond language, beyond explanation, beyond logic. And I carried it like a secret, quietly, carefully, the way you carry something fragile, with both hands held close to your chest, walking slowly so you don't drop it. Before I go further, I want to ask you something. In this world, this loud, screaming, notification-filled, constantly talking world, how many people truly know you? Not your name, not your face, not your achievements or your failures, but you, the real you. The you that exists at 3 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep. The you that laughs at something nobody else finds funny. The you that cries over things that the world calls too small to cry about. The you that has dreams so big you're scared to say them out loud. How many people know that person? I'm guessing not many, because we live in a world where we are connected to thousands of people, and yet we feel completely alone. We have hundreds of friends on social media, and yet we struggle to find one person we can truly talk to. We are surrounded by noise, and yet inside there is a deafening silence. And then, sometimes if you are very, very lucky, someone comes along who breaks through all of that, not by being loud, not by forcing their way in, but simply by being there, by seeing you, by understanding you without you having to explain yourself. That is a silent bond. It is when two people share an understanding that goes beyond words. It is when you don't need to explain your mood. They already know. It is when you don't need to ask for help. They are already there. It is when you can sit in complete silence with someone, and it feels like the most honest, most real, most fulfilling conversation you have ever had. Scientists call it nonverbal communication. Poets call it two souls recognizing each other. I call it a miracle, a quiet, gentle, everyday miracle. People underestimate silence. We are taught from childhood that communication means talking, that expression means using words, that if you feel something, you should say it. But here is what they don't teach us in school. The most profound things in life, the most real, the most true, the most deeply felt things, cannot be captured in words. Have you ever tried to describe a sunset to someone who has never seen one? Have you ever tried to explain grief to someone who has never lost anyone? Have you ever tried to put into words exactly how it feels when someone truly, genuinely cares about you? Words fall short. They always do, because some things exist in a dimension that language simply cannot reach, and that is where silence lives. Silence is not the absence of communication. Silence is the purest form of communication. When someone holds your hand without saying a word, they are saying more than any speech could ever say. When someone stays up late, not because they had to, but because they knew you needed company, they are speaking volumes. When someone's eyes light up the moment you walk into a room, that expression carries more truth than 1,000 promises. My silent bond spoke this language. Every glance was a paragraph. Every small gesture was a chapter. Every moment of shared silence was an entire book, written not on paper, but on the walls of my heart. And I read every single word. Now, you might be wondering, if this bond was so precious, so beautiful, so meaningful, why did I keep it a secret? Why didn't I shout it from the rooftops? Why didn't I tell people? Why didn't I celebrate it? And the answer is simple, because some things are too sacred for the world. We live in a world that loves to judge, a world that loves to label, a world that looks at something pure and immediately tries to define it, categorize it, put it in a box, and stick a label on it. And I was afraid that if I spoke it out loud, the world would misunderstand it, afraid that people would reduce something beautiful to something ordinary, afraid that their judgment, their opinions, their questions would pollute something that was clean and pure and entirely mine. So I kept it close. I wrapped it in silence, the same silence that created it, and I protected it. The way you protect a flame in the wind, you cup your hands around it, you shield it, you keep it safe from the storm, because not everything needs to be shared, not everything needs to be explained. Some things are just yours, and there is nothing selfish about that. There is something sacred about having a piece of your life that belongs only to you, a memory, a feeling, a bond, something that the entire world doesn't have access to. In a world where people post every meal they eat and every thought they think, holding something back is an act of reverence. It is saying, this is too important to perform for an audience. This is real, and real things don't need applause. But here is the real reason I am standing before you today, not just to tell you about a secret, but to tell you what that secret taught me. Because that silent bond, that quiet, invisible, unexplainable connection changed me. It changed the way I see the world. It changed the way I treat people. It changed the way I understand love, friendship, connection, and what it truly means to matter to someone. First lesson, presence is the most powerful gift. In this age of distraction, where everyone is half present and half somewhere else, the person in my silent bond taught me what it means to be truly present, to put the phone down, to look someone in the eyes, to actually be where you are. That person never made me feel like I was competing for their attention. When they were with me, completely, fully, without reservation. And I realized that is love, that is care, that is friendship in its truest form. Second lesson, you don't need words to be understood. I spent most of my life thinking that if I could just find the right words, I could make people understand me. I wrote long messages, I gave long explanations, I tried to articulate every feeling perfectly, and I was exhausted, and I was still misunderstood. But with this bond, with this person, I didn't need to explain. They just knew, and I realized the right people don't need explanations. If someone truly sees you, truly connects with you, they understand your silences as clearly as your words. Third lesson. Some connections are beyond reason. Logic cannot explain why some people walk into your life and immediately feel like home. Science cannot fully describe why some people calm your anxiety just by being in the same room. Philosophy cannot adequately capture why some people make you feel seen, valued, and deeply understood without doing anything extraordinary. It just happens. And the wisest thing you can do when is not question it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Don't interrogate it. Just receive it. Just be grateful for it. Just let it be what it is. Fourth lesson, the quiet things last the longest. The loudest moments of my life, The parties, the celebrations, the grand events, they have faded in my memory, but the quiet moments, the silent ones, they remain. Sharp, clear, vivid. A look that lasted 2 seconds. A smile that was meant only for me. A moment of shared understanding that passed between us like electricity. These are the things I remember. These are the things that lasted. Because loud things burn out quickly. But quiet flames, they burn forever. I want to be honest with you, because this speech would be incomplete if I only told you the beautiful parts. Carrying a secret, even a precious one, has a cost. There were days when the silence felt heavy, days when I wanted to tell someone, anyone, about this bond that was quietly transforming me from the inside, days when the joy of it felt too big to hold alone, days when the ache of it felt too sharp to carry by myself. Because here is the thing about silent bonds. They live entirely inside you. There is no external validation, no public acknowledgement, no one else who knows the full story. And sometimes, in the dark, quiet hours of the night, you wonder, is this real? Am I imagining things? Does this mean as much to them as it does to me? And the uncertainty, the beautiful, agonizing uncertainty, becomes part of the secret too. But even in those difficult moments, even in the heaviness, I would not have traded it. Not for anything. Because the weight of something precious is still better than the emptiness of having nothing precious at all. The heaviness meant it mattered. And things that truly matter are always worth carrying. Now I want to look at you, really look at you, and ask, do you have a silent bond in your life? Maybe it's with a friend who has known you for years, who has never once needed you to explain yourself. Maybe it's with a parent, whose quiet love you sometimes took for granted, but whose presence always made you feel safe. Maybe it's with a sibling, who fights with you constantly, but would move mountains for you in a heartbeat. Maybe it's with someone you love, someone whose eyes speak to you in a language only your heart understands. Or maybe it's with yourself. Because one of the most important silent bonds we can cultivate is the one we have with our own soul. The ability to sit with yourself in silence. The ability to listen to your own heart. The ability to know, without anyone telling you, what you truly need, what you truly feel, what you truly believe. In a world that is constantly trying to tell you who you are, the relationship you have with your own silence is revolutionary. So I ask you, are you nurturing the silent bonds in your life? Are you recognizing them? Are you protecting them? Are you grateful for them? Because these bonds, these quiet, invisible, unspoken connections, they are the architecture of a meaningful life. They are what hold us together when everything else falls apart. They are what remind us that we are not alone, even in our loneliest moments. So here I stand, having shared with you the most precious secret of my life. Not every detail, not every name, not every moment, because some things still belong to the silence that created them. But the essence of it, the truth of it, that I give to you. The truth that the most meaningful things in life are often the quietest. The truth that you can know someone deeply without ever having to explain that knowledge to the world. The truth that silence, real, comfortable, chosen silence, is one of the most intimate things two people can share. The truth that some bonds don't need words, don't need labels, don't need the world's understanding. They just need to be felt, and they just need to be honored. My silent bond taught me that love, in all its forms, is not always loud. Sometimes love is a look that lasts 2 seconds. Sometimes love is remembering the small things. Sometimes love is staying when everyone else leaves. Sometimes love is silence, held gently between two people, that says everything words never could. So carry your precious secrets carefully, protect your silent bonds fiercely, and never, never let the noise of this world drown out the quiet things that truly matter. Because in the end, when all the noise fades, when all the crowds go home, when the lights go out, what remains? The silent bonds, the quiet love, the precious secrets. Those are the things that last forever. Thank you.